Okay. Well, we're looking here at the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. This is a simplified version that I got from UNICEF online. I'll give you the link to that, unicef.org.au. Now, I want to discuss the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of the Child in relation to the, what's her name, Megan Mitchell, the Children's Commissioner at the Human Rights Commission. Here are my notes. I'll discuss it as I go along. I wish to discuss point by point the Convention on the Rights of the Child in relation to male genital integrity. From UNICEF. So let's look at the Convention in relation to male genital integrity as a human right. It's highly likely that the National Children's Commissioner at the Human Rights Commission, Ms. Megan Mitchell, sounds like a feminist, may need to have all this spelled out to her point by point. She's been installed as Commissioner for over a year now and has yet to address the human right of male genital integrity, known as male. Yes, she has yet to address the human right of male children, known as male genital integrity. She certainly didn't speak out when circumcised boys, sitting in pools of their own blood, had to be airlifted. She didn't. Airlifted to hospital for life-saving emergency treatment. She would have certainly piped up had it been a matter of female children sitting in pools of their own circumcision blood. She would have, wouldn't she? She would have. The boys were part of a group of about 20 who were circumcised 2 days before Christmas 2013. Prime Minister Julia Gillard announced the appointment of Megan Mitchell as Australia's first National Children's Commissioner in Canberra on February the 25th, 2013, marking a significant step in the protection of children in Australia. So, having commenced her term on March 25th, 2013, Megan will focus solely on the rights and interests of children and the laws, policies and programs that impact them. So in point of fact, she was actually installed before those boys were sitting in their pools of blood, wasn't she? She was. Of course, Ms. Mitchell kept silent and mum on the issue of male genital mutilation. I say Ms. because she's obviously a bit on the feminist side, isn't she? She kept silent and mum on the issue of male genital mutilation, just as Sex Discrimination Commissioner Elizabeth Broderick did before her as Sex Discrimination Commissioner, yes. Male children sitting in pools of their own blood went undefended and unprotected by the Commissioner for Children. Not a word was spoken by her about male genital integrity. So let's look now at Article 1 of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, to which Australia is party to. Everyone under 18 years of age has all the rights in this convention. Okay. So it's clear here that both male and female children have genital integrity rights. Intersex kids too, not just girls deserve genital integrity rights, but boys and intersex as well. Older boys and teen boys need protection from male genital mutilation as much as infant boys. Article 2. Yes, we've got to spell it all out for the Children's Commissioner. We have to, don't we? I'm obliged to. Article 2. The Convention applies to everyone. Whatever their race, religion, abilities, whatever they think or say, whatever type of family they come from. Yes, all boys and intersex children should have human rights as well, and that means the right to genital integrity, full bodily integrity. Article 3. All organisations concerned with children should work towards what is best for each child. Well, my genital mutilation was not best for me. Male genital mutilation is not best for a male child. Male children, yes, male children is not best for a male child. It was not best for male children. It is not best for male children, and it was not best for me. Cutting out the most sensitive neurological tissue on a boy's penis is not best for a boy. He will lose 75 to 80% of his most specialized sensory tissue. That's a loss of a lifetime of erotic pleasure. It really is. It is, you know. It is. The female genital hood. Oops, I've lost my place. Yes. The female genital hood, which indeed has even less nerve endings than does the male genital hood, is protected by law. 21 years in jail for a pin-pricked clit on a female child in New South Wales. That is a fact. In New South Wales, you get 21 years in jail. Article 4 of the Conventions on the Rights of the Child, to which Australia is party to, continuing. Government should make these rights available to children. Yes, genital integrity rights should not be the exclusive preserve of girls. Robbing boys and intersex children of their genital integrity rights is differential and unfavourable treatment. Children of all genders deserve human rights, not just girls. Indeed, it's also illegal to circumcise an animal in Australia, so a boy in Australia has less automatic right to his own foreskin than an animal does. That's just a sad fact, isn't it? It's just a sad fact. Article 6. Children have the right to live a full life. Government should ensure that children survive and develop healthily. I say one can't live a full life without a full body. I still have neurological wiring in my brain that is meant to connect to my foreskin and preputial sphincter, for example. My brain cannot open and close my preputial sphincter. It cannot. If I don't have one, can it? It can't. A boy's brain cannot receive the required nerve impulses from his highly sensitive foreskin nervous tissue if he doesn't have a foreskin anymore. One cannot develop a full adult sexuality if one is missing all the neurological tissue required to be a fully sexual person. Remember, up to 75% to 80% of a boy's specialized sensory tissue is lost. That's a lifetime of sexual sensation and pleasure lost. Not all boys survive male genital mutilation either. They don't. In the United States alone, more than 100 baby boys die each year. That's a lot of boys. That's much more than 100 because the figures are all, they're often put down to accidental death from bleeding and so on. They don't say what the cause was. Article 12. Children have the right to say what they think should happen when adults are making decisions that affect them and to have their opinions taken into account. Oh, really? Female children are protected from female circumcision in Australia. Boys are not. Baby boys cannot give informed consent. When a strapped-down baby boy screams in agony from male genital mutilation, he is protesting, saying he doesn't want it done to him. That should be clear. You can watch films of older boys on YouTube being held down against their will to be genitally mutilated. You can. Their cries and protests are ignored. You'll see mouths gagged by hands or even stuffed with a rag. A mother's headscarf was used in one instance that I saw. Male children's protests about male genital mutilation are not listened to. Girls are protected from female circumcision by law. They are. Article 16 of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Children have the right to privacy. The law should protect them from attacks against their way of life, their good name, their family, and their home. Privacy, is that a fact? The glans penis is a private internal organ. To deliberately strip it of its protective cover, the male foreskin, is to make the glans penis permanently on display. This private internal organ is no longer private, but permanently made visible all the time, even to oneself. It will never be hidden again. We're not allowed to cut and permanently expose the internal private genital tissues of female children in this way, so it's differential and unfavourable treatment to do it to a boy. Remember, too, that here in New South Wales, it's 21 years in jail for a mere pinprick to a girl's clitoral, or just a pinprick will land you in jail in New South Wales for 21 years. Article 17. Children have the right to reliable information from the media. Mass media such as television, radio and newspapers should provide information that children can understand and should not promote materials that could harm children. As I said, there are explicit videos on YouTube Australia promoting genital mutilation. You can watch boys, male children, having their sexual organs harmed, male children having it done to them against their will. No YouTube video actually promoting female circumcision would ever be allowed to stay up. It would not. It would be taken down. Female children are defended by law, boys are not. The Children's Commissioner has been silent so far about YouTube videos that promote male genital mutilation. Look in the phone book or Google it and you will find clinics all over Australia that practice male genital mutilation. Article 18. Both parents share responsibility for bringing up their children and should always consider what is best for each child. Governments should help parents by providing services to support them, especially if both parents work. Well, let me tell you of a story. I'll give you the link online to, yes, it's called My Circumcision Disgrace. A man whose wife had his son circumcised against his wishes complained to Julia Gillard, a previous Prime Minister of Australia. Her then Health Minister, Nicola Roxon, gave that man a completely unsympathetic response. Indeed, Roxon actually argued in favour of male genital mutilation. She argued male genital mutilation had religious benefits, cultural benefits, and health benefits. Supposed health benefits, she claimed. In the same breath, she argued against female circumcision. So that was obviously differential and unfavourable treatment of boys by Roxon. It was. And remember, Gillard tweeted that the horrific practice of FGM has no place in any religion or culture, and the government will work to stamp it out here. That's the horrific practice of FGM. Gillard, that's female genital mutilation, isn't it? Gillard also gave $500,000 for a campaign to protect female children from female circumcision. It was an anti-female circumcision campaign, it was. She gave $500,000 to that. She did not throw a penny at boys. She knew full well that A, boys are regularly genitally mutilated in Australia, and B, that most, if not all, circumcised women and girls in Australia were done overseas. Furthermore, she knew that there had not ever even been one successful prosecution of anyone for doing an FGM in Australia. So, I mean, MGM, male genital mutilation, is rife in Australia, and she didn't throw a cent at that, did she? Not a cent. But she was concerned about FGM, which is a practice in Australia for which no one has ever been prosecuted. She also knew that female children had been protected from female circumcision by law for at least 2 decades. I think there's federal law, isn't there? Male, as well as state laws, male children were left to bleed. They were left screaming to their bloody fate, weren't they? They were. Now, to continue, I'll give you the links to that story about Gillard and Roxon. I will. I'm working from my screen. My printer's upstairs and I haven't, yes, I'm just working from the screen. Article 19 of the Covenant of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Governments should ensure that children are properly cared for and protect them from violence, abuse and neglect by their parents or anyone else who looks after them. My comment here. Male children are regularly genitally mutilated in Australia. It is perfectly legal to do so. Male genital mutilation is torture of a male child. I was done without anaesthetic, not that anaesthetic makes male genital mutilation right. I am a survivor of male genital mutilation, but boys do die from male genital cutting. Excuse me. Governments and parents in Australia are still allowing male children to be genitally mutilated. Female children are protected by law, 21 years in jail in New South Wales, as I said. We usually hear about female circumcision being performed with a dirty old rusty knife in Africa, but boys in Africa also die from the dirty old rusty knife treatment. I'll give you links to the Pondoland website where you can see lots of dead boys in South Africa that died from male genital mutilation with a dirty rusty knife. So the dirty rusty knife bit applies to boys as well as to girls, by the way. You often hear the emotive FGM stories where a woman came towards me with a dirty old rusty knife. I've heard it so many times. Dirty old rusty knives are used on boys too. Article 23 of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Children who have any kind of disability should receive special care and support so that they can live a full and independent life. The government provides funding for special care and support to be given to survivors of female circumcision. Even if the majority of those women and girls were circumcised overseas, it is recognized that women may have psychological problems, even from a grope on the tit years afterwards. So why shouldn't male children and men be allowed to have ongoing psychological problems as regards the torture known as male genital mutilation? If the government provides for restorative surgeries for victims of female circumcision, then it should also surely be providing funds for the restoration, as far as is possible, for victims of male genital mutilation. To leave male children and men without special care, medical and psychological, where female children are provided for, is differential and unfavourable treatment of boys, that is, male children. Do you hear that, Children's Commissioner? National Children's Commissioner that you are? Article 24. Children have the right to quality health care, clean water, nutritious food, and a clean environment so that they will stay healthy. Richer countries should help poorer countries achieve this. Children have the right to good quality health care. Good quality health care means guaranteeing full healthy genitalia, that is, genital integrity to boys and intersex, as well as girls. Meanwhile, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation march into Africa to genitally mutilate boys. Oprah Winfrey marches into Africa to protect girls from female circumcision. But she wears foreskin face cream, doesn't she, extracted from boys' foreskins. She endorses that product, swears by it. Again, that is differential and unfavourable treatment of male children and men, where girls and women are allowed full genital integrity. If Oprah Winfrey wore clitoral hood face cream, it would be considered a betrayal of the sisterhood. It would, wouldn't it? I don't think feminists would be pleased about her wearing clitoral cream, or if I wore clitoral cream all over my face. I don't think they'd be pleased, would they? They wouldn't. Article 29. Education should develop each child's personality and talents to the full. It should encourage children to respect their parents, their cultures, and other cultures. Education should develop each child's personality and talents to the full. Well, there can be no full expression of male sexuality, psychologically and physically, without a whole body and genital integrity. No amount of education can teach a male child how to use his foreskin if he's been robbed of one. No amount of education can teach a blind person to see again. We don't cut out the sensory eye tissue of a child, or their hearing tissue, or taste or smell tissue, so why should we make a male child bereft of his full sexual sensory endowment? Neurology that cannot be replaced. Neurology needed to learn and experience with sexually. Sex education, indeed, requires full sexual organs. You can't educate a male child to take care of, nurture and protect a foreskin he doesn't have. You can't. It justifies logic. Article 31. Children have the right to relax, play, and to join in a wide range of leisure activities. Well, this will shock some people, but male children under 18 have as much right to relax and play with their own full, entire sexual organs as much as girls do. Sexual feelings do not begin at 18. A male child has every right to be as playful with his own genital endowment as much as any female child does. A boy has as much right to relax, play, and have leisure and pleasure with his own genital hood as much as any girl has the right to play with her own clitoral hood. That's common sense and recognizing that children have sexual rights too. The first sexual right being to that of genital integrity, full bodily autonomy. Children do play with themselves. That's perfectly natural and normal. They play with and explore their own bodies, don't they? They do. Let's keep in mind too that male genital mutilation was introduced, for my generation at least, to make masturbation more difficult. It was introduced. That's why I was genitally mutilated, basically. And it still continues today in Australia. Article 34. Government should protect children from sexual abuse. The Australian government does not guarantee the genital integrity of male children. It will, however, guarantee that female children will be protected from circumcision. The government will also prosecute anybody who circumcises a cat or dog. You cannot circumcise an animal or a female child in Australia. You cannot. Do you hear that, Children's Commissioner? What the fuck are you doing for little boys' genital integrity? You've been there a year and a half. What are you doing, dearie? What are you doing? You're being paid? What are you doing? Boys were sitting in blood. You said nothing. What are you doing? Article 36. Children should be protected from any activities that could harm their development. Excuse me. Male children need genital integrity to develop fully as human beings, to experience all that they were meant to sense and experience with their sensory organs. My brain has areas still dedicated to communicating with a foreskin that I no longer have. I had this link to a foreskin. It was broken. The foreskin neurology lay down in my brain and body. It was meant to fulfill its purpose as I developed into an adult, not chopped away and discarded. It was discarded. It was chopped away without my informed consent. It was, wasn't it? That was shocking. Not having full genital integrity harms the full development of the body, the brain and mind. We allow female children to develop to their fullest sexual potential. So why should male children's sexual potentials, including that for enjoyment, be stripped away? Remember, a male child will lose 75 to 80% of his most specialized sensory tissue due to male genital mutilation. Anything between 50 and 80%. The number varies, but it's looking very like it's close to 75 to 80% of his most specialized sensory tissue due to male genital mutilation. That's what the neurologists say. That's the loss of a lifetime of sexual pleasure. That's what the neurological expert says. He ought to know. He was examining all those foreskins under the electron microscope. Whatever. Article 39. Children who have been neglected or abused should receive special help to restore their self-respect. Again, the Australian government provides for psychological and medical care for victims of female circumcision, whether they were circumcised in Australia or not. Surely psychological and medical care should be guaranteed for victims of male genital mutilation as well. Don't male children deserve rights too? MGM, that is male genital mutilation, is child abuse and neglect. Whomever it is done by, it is torture, isn't it? Boys have a right to psychological help and reconstructive surgeries, if necessary, as female children do. It's only fair, otherwise it's differential and unfavourable treatment of boys. Yes, the Australian government has threw some millions of dollars at restoring women who were genitally mutilated overseas, but the Australian government is spending money to help restore their bodies to something more like normalcy. So if you can do it for women who weren't even born in Australia, you should at least be able to do it for boys who were born in Australia and genitally mutilated in Australia, those boys who need foreskin reconstructions, for example, or reparative surgery for dreadful injuries that they've received. I myself, for example, have lived 60 years with skin bridging, hideous skin bridging on my penis. Okay, Article 41. If the laws of a particular country protect children better than the articles of the Convention, then these laws should override the Convention. So, in Australia, the Convention on the Rights of the Child should override Australian law. Female children here are protected from female circumcision, but boys are not protected from male genital mutilation. That is differential and unfavourable treatment of boys, and thus against the spirit of the Convention. It's also against the spirit of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. For example, the security of person principles contained therein. Yes, security of person surely implies a security of your whole person, including your penis and your foreskin, your whole entire genital integrity. Article 42. Now, I didn't do every article here, by the way. I just picked out the ones that were relevant to this discussion about the genital integrity of children, including male and intersex children, and human rights, and as it pertains to the Commissioner of Children, the National Children's Commissioner. Article 42. Government should make the Convention known to all parents and children. The spirit and intent of the Convention is that all children, not just female ones, should have the human right known as genital integrity. Therefore, the Australian Government and the National Children's Commissioner at the Human Rights Commission are duty-bound to do all they can to guarantee that male children and intersex children have the right to a full body and genital integrity. The Australian Government bankrolled a campaign against female circumcision. So too should it bankroll a campaign to defend male genital integrity and intersex genital integrity. It should. It's appalling that there is a need for me to spell it out to the National Children's Commissioner, but somebody has to educate her, so here I am. Here I am. Now just finally I read a paragraph or two from mycircumcisiondisgrace.org. I'll leave a link to that and the Ponderland link and whatever other links I've mentioned, yes, UNICEF and so forth. I'll leave links in the sidebar. But let's just read this from mycircumcisiondisgrace.org. The Australian Human Rights Commission, this is from the founder of that website, the Australian Human Rights Commission appears to have more than adequate existing powers to address the obvious discrimination experienced by infant males in Australia by state governments and medical regulatory authorities. See the Sex Discrimination Act 1984 and the Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission Act 1984. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, to which Australia is a signatory, has a specific clause regarding guaranteeing physical integrity of every human, irrespective of age or sex. An animal has more right to its own foreskin than a boy does in Australia, doesn't it? The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child specifically prohibits traditional practices prejudicial to the health of children, a provision that clearly includes genital mutilation. So there you are, Children's Commissioner, National Children's Commissioner, Megan Mitchell. There you are, dear, something for you to think about, something for you to act on. It's time for you to defend the male genital integrity. It's time for you to care about male children. It is. It's time for you to speak up and act up. The Sex Discrimination Commissioner has done nothing. Will you do something, dear?